rather. Jeanette has been our secretary. Sheila is a member at large, trustee, and we have an open position. And this is our hallway now. Isn't that gorgeous? Nice and wide and open. So this is our agenda today. I'm doing the welcome now. Elizabeth's going to open us up officially in prayer. We're going to go through election of the new members, and then a minister report, a treasurer report, secretary, president, and then we'll have some Q&A before we close out with prayer. So Elizabeth, would you like to pray us in?
Okay.
No, I can't turn my head.
There we go. Actually, what I'll go ahead right now is I'll go ahead and mute everybody for this part. We will have questions and answers at the end. So if you notice anything, just jot yourself a note. If you can hold it till the very end, especially on Zoom, that's a little bit easier. So, all right, let's go ahead and pray in our annual meeting of 2021. The Holy Spirit is here amongst us, leading this meeting. God, the divine wisdom and love, lead this meeting today. Let everyone here be blessed and uplifted by this time together that we devote to loving this church community by taking care of the business and the mission of what we're here to do, to help people expand and grow, and to be solid, to be mindful, to be wise in all that we do. Thank you to each one of you on the phone right now and those who are watching this later. Thank you for spending your time and giving us your consciousness. We come together now as one family, Unity Northwest. And so it is. Amen. I will go ahead and put us back on the share screen, and this is my report, so I get to go first. And then those of you that are presenting today, you can just unmute when it comes to you. I picked this graphic from my minister's report because it says actively caring for people. And that's, to me, what ministry is. That's what we're doing. That's what I feel my mission is. To actively care for people out in the world, and starting with those of you who are here in the church. And boy, this has been a year of caring for people in new ways and caring for new people. There are people that call the church at a time like this because they don't have a church. So sometimes it's people that we've never even seen before, but they're part of our church. So we have stayed strong. Excuse me. We are here. We are going. We haven't missed a Sunday because everything has been online. I don't need to tell you that. And I'm really grateful to all of you who have figured out Zoom and Facebook. And some of you had never done that before. So thank you. And thanks to those of you who have helped people get on here. You know who you are. Live streaming happens, as you know, every Sunday. We've added a lot with being online and using a computer. So we have videos that upgrade what we're able to offer. So sometimes that really can bring a point home, just like graphics and music from other musicians, although we sure can't wait to get back to have regular musicians. So for now, we're doing the best that we can with all of the online options, and it's been working. Lots and lots of spiritual support, which in a way is one of the blessings of this time, that, there weren't as many meetings or even events in a way, but there's been a deepening, certainly in talks that I have with people, even by phone and sometimes ironically by text. I'm praying with people all the time, counseling, any conversation can turn into a talk about COVID, a talk about depression, a talk about, who's just come through COVID, where people are at with their jobs, people grateful to be home. These conversations, they're practically every day. So spiritual support this year has just been incredible. The need has been incredible, and that has been an increasing part of what I do. It's always part of what a minister does, but this year was different, like almost everything. I'm super grateful to Carolyn for all that she does with the youth and family. You know, we've changed as we've gone along. She's recorded videos, she's got them coming on, and she's always there, and she's reaching out to the parents. So thank you, Carolyn and Anita and all of the teachers that go online now. We have monthly online classes. We have extra caring calls by someone named Andrea. Many of you have probably heard from her. She's a volunteer who stepped forward, had never even been in our church, but was kind of church shopping. So Andrea is one of those volunteers that said, what can I do? And every week she asks me, what else do you need? What else do you need? So she's been calling people on top of the prayer chaplains, on top of me. And then of course we have our drive-bys, and those, they're going to get even better until we come back. Whatever we have, meeting in the parking lot. Who knew standing in a parking lot with masks could be so touching and amazing? So I didn't get to see the bottom of your half of your faces, but I got to see your eyes, and everybody got to join in. We had a great time in the parking lot. If you haven't noticed, be sure to check out the webpage. Kelby has done a fantastic job updating it. We're keeping it updated. If you ever see anything, like Jeanette is great at noticing that something didn't get changed or we're behind on something. So if you ever notice anything, just email Betsy and let her know. Beth has done a great job with our Facebook page. She's increased postings of everything that we do. The text program that we added, really making a difference. Can't stress this enough, gang. If you're not on the text program, please do that. The directions are, in various places, or email Betsy. When in doubt, email Betsy. She will put you on that. So the texting reminds you the day of anything that's happening, because it's so easy to forget. Betsy's doing more and more, she does these cute graphics. We've updated the look of the weekly email that goes out. We call that an e-blast. And then we've had lots of emails just reminding you about things, making it into the Daily Herald. I forgot to mention that. If you can see me, my picture made the Daily Herald, but it was to promote the spiritual hodgepodge. So we do our best to get our listings in there. Unfortunately, they'll only put one thing in. So when we have multiple things, they don't always make it in. And thank you to Teddy. She's doing a great job. Thank you for recognizing the team members. And if Betsy were on, I would say a special thank you to Betsy for all that she does. She'll watch this later. She's enjoying family time this weekend. As you all know, Betsy's been coming in. She didn't want to work at home. She's done a great job. And I leave you with this quote about whether we make a difference or not in the world. What are we doing? Just take this into your heart and your mind, that this is the kind of thing that can happen for people when they experience Unity Northwest. And this time it happens to be at a Sunday lesson. And the lesson spoke directly to me, and I felt like the weight that I've been feeling just fell off with a loud thud. I wanted to personally thank you from the bottom of my heart. So I live for thuds. I live for the thuds in life, and they're happening. They're happening, and there's more to come. So I will now take a moment to bless that time. Minister's report complete. Questions welcome later. And Linda is going to come off of mute. She's our wonderful treasurer. And if you, by the way, if you didn't see, because you were looking at the screen, that's what the Daily Herald listing looked like last week. And I'm going to turn it over to Linda. Linda, give a few opening comments, and then I'll put the screen back up.
Well, I have the pleasure of going over the Unity Northwest finances now. So there's going to be two screens we're going to be talking about. First is our total income. Now, what does that include? Well, besides our tithes and offerings, it's the rent that we get from renting out the church, rent we get from the bookstore. We also get a percentage of the sales from the bookstore, our flower fund, and also our class. Examples of our salaries, paying our utilities, the lawn care that gets taken care of, the advertising that we do, any website updates, guest speakers, and our payroll taxes. So our 2020 year-to-date net income, which we get when we subtract our total expenses from our total income, was negative $10,908. Now, when we compare that to the year-to-date from the same time period in 2019, we do see that our income was up, which was understandable, but we have been able to cut our expenses substantially by having less payroll, less guest speakers, less advertising, and not using that cleaning service as often. So at the end of 2019, our net income was negative 15,932, as you see on the screen. Now, our income may have been over $28,000 more, less in 2020, but our expenses in 2020 were over $33,000 less than the previous year. Let me repeat that. Our income was over $28,000 less in 2020, but our expenses in 2020 were over $33,000 less than the previous year. And I think that that is certainly worth noting here. We want to thank you so much for all the contributions for our year. And I Love My Church campaign. It helped immensely. So next we go to our balance sheet. And what we have here is a few sections. So first is our cash assets. So basically what that is what's in our checking account, the money we have readily available. So the total assets would include resources such as the land and the building, our furniture and our fixtures, our computer equipment, and our liabilities, which are our debts. That would include federal and state payroll taxes, chaplain training, women's retreat deposits. So our equity, which is also referred to as our net worth, that is our total our total assets equal our liabilities plus our equity. Now that should always balance. So the less liability we have, the more equity or net worth there is. So when we compare these figures, we see that in 2020, there's an increase in our checking account. Now I had mentioned this in our town hall meeting back in September. Why is that? Well, the reason is we had received a payroll protection program or PPP loan from the federal government that we were eligible for. This helped.
Hey, Linda.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just wondering if the dog might be able to go into another room. It's hard to hear you with the chain on the dog.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Maybe could you just start at the top with the balance sheet a little bit and go over that?
Of course. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was that loud. It's a big Rottweiler, let me tell you. Okay, so let's go over the balance sheet again. So basically we have our cash assets, and that is the money that we have readily available that's in our checking account. So the total assets would include the resources owned, such as the land and the building. We have our furniture and our fixtures, computer equipment. Liabilities, which are our debts, such as federal and state payroll taxes, chaplain training, and our women's retreat deposits. Then we have our equity, which is also referred to as our net worth. So our total assets equal our liabilities plus equity, and that should always balance. So the less liability or debt one has, the more equity or net worth there is. So when we compare these figures, we see that in 2020, there was an increase in our checking account. So our income was down, but our checking account is up. So why is that? And I explained this in our town hall meeting we had held back in September. The reason is the payroll protection program or PPP loan that we had received from the federal government that we were eligible for. So this helped pay our employees' salaries and utilities. And so we were able to keep more money in our checking account. The loan is also the reason why our liabilities have increased compared to last year. But it's very, very promising, and we are going to be hearing very shortly about this loan being forgiven. So we'll certainly let you know when that is taking place. So if it is forgiven, then it would no longer be a liability, and it would be classified then as other income. So just to finish this, our total assets then would be the same if and when the loan is forgiven, because the dollar amount subtracted from our liabilities would then be basically added to our equity. amount then. So that's my 2 screens then for the year. And again, I thank you so much for your support.
Thanks, Linda. And now I see that Jeanette is ready to go. Hi, Jeanette, introduce yourself and then I'll put your slides up. Go ahead, Jeanette, you're all set.
Just need the slide. I don't have a slide, okay. What we need to do first is to approve our 2019 minutes. We didn't have an annual meeting from last year, so we now need to approve the 2019 minutes. And I guess those should have been included in your e-blast. We can do that in the future, but you also have access to them if you'd like to look them over. I would like to thank Dallas as well as other board members for reading through them to see if there was anything else that they felt might be needed. We could bring them up and read them if you would like, but I think that normally our policy is to let you have access to copies of them and then vote to waive the minutes. So are people okay with waiving the minutes, knowing that you would have access to reading through them?
It's actually, just to correct the language, it's waiving the reading of the minutes.
That's what I meant. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Waive the reading of the minutes. I move that we waive the reading of the minutes.
I second. All in favor? All opposed? All abstain. All right, motion passes. I'll put you back onto your slides there.
And the minutes and ministers' reports are online for you.
I apologize. There was the second vote. So we just voted to waive the reading. Now we vote to approve. So I move that we approve the 2019 annual minutes. Do I have a second? Chris has seconded. All in favor of approving the minutes? Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, Jeanette. Now you can have your floor back.
And the minutes, as well as the ministers' reports, are online for you at all times. To get there, you just go to the Unity website and select who we are, the icon, options at the top, who we are, select our board, and then you will see the links to the minutes and ministers' report. And that includes all of the minutes to date. Okay, so if you miss 1 month, you can check it out. Just make sure everything is always there. We're using Google Drive to store and share our documents, to collaborate, and which saves paper time. When we have a meeting, we always have links in our agenda to everything so we can progress quickly in our meetings and have everything organized. If you go to the next slide, this is what you would get if you selected our board. And notice at the bottom, there are 2 links there, one for the minutes and one for the minister's report. And in there, you'll have access to the minister's reports, the monthly for the year, as well as the minutes. And in the minutes folder, I decided to put in there a folder with the nominee applications of our applications for the board this year. So you would be able to have additional information right there about our applicants, as well as a copy of this PowerPoint presentation. You will see that in annual minutes, as well as the copy of the 2019 minutes. So you just click on minutes and you can get access to all of that. And we'd like a special thank you to go out to Linda Patagurskas and Carolyn Amick, who have served on the board. They were such a treasure for us this year. We so enjoyed their contributions they made, their wonderful temperament and personalities, and it was just a pleasure to work with them. We thank them for the service that they both provided.
And if you would like to applaud, just put your hands up, send them some love, heart, so they can see you. Woo! Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Carolyn.
And I'd like to thank Carolyn Danoon if she could wave, and Sally Witt for serving on the nominating committee this year. Let's thank them.
Thank you. Woo! Yay.
And as I mentioned, you in the link that I mentioned before, you can get additional information about our new nominees, and I will introduce them now. Teddy Capanella is going to be is one of our nominees for serving on the board, and Mark Boston. And we'd like to have each of them speak now a little bit to introduce themselves. Teddy, can you introduce yourself first?
Okay, good. Hi, and good morning, everyone. Okay, so I am happy to take the position on the Board of Trustees. I've been working with Unity now for approximately 6 years. And what I've been involved in is chaplain. I'm going into my 6th year. I have been the prayer team leader. I've created the volunteer recognition program, which I always say, go team, okay. And I am currently working on the bylaws and policy to update our bylaws and policies. I just completed, hey Chris, where are you? We just completed our course in prayer chaplain trainer. So we can now train prayer chaplains along with Betsy. Yay! All right. Yeah, good. Okay. And so I just want to say I'm happy to be part of this board. I'm excited to being a part of moving forward with them. And I have had contact with all of the people on the board who are just wonderful. They've got great personalities. They're so patient. It's just wonderful to be with them. And so I just want to say thank you, and everybody have a peaceful week.
Thank you, Teddy. Wonderful. And Teddy has certainly been working hard on revising our bylaws. And what an amazing job that she's done, and the complex work that it is preparing that for board approval. It's going to be so superior to what we currently have. It's just outstanding work. So we appreciate all that she's doing on that already. Thank you. And Mark, would you introduce yourself now? And
yeah, I'm Mark Boston. I've been going to this church about 5-6 years, and I'm excited about being a member of the board here and what I can contribute. Teddy, I'm really impressed with your credentials already. It's just cool to hear all that you're doing great. For me, I was blessed to be in Unity since 6th grade. It really came at a perfect time, because when I got to junior high, I somehow ticked off the toughest kid in the entire class. And needless to say, 7th through 9th grade were really challenging times for me. I had really reached a low point when I was right toward the end of 9th grade. And I remember praying to God, saying, God, help me, do something, because I can't handle this anymore. And 2 blessings came out of it. One, the majority of kids that I went to junior high with, they went to a different high school. So, including the toughest one. So they all went somewhere else pretty much. And the second thing is I joined YOU, which is the high school kids in Unity. So I attended my first YOU rally, and I was just blown away. Just the love, the laughter, the creativity that these kids had. It was like nothing I could have. I don't know. It's hard to describe that. And then I went to a week-long event at Unity Village. I know they don't call it conference anymore, but at that time that's what they called it. International. And I tell you what, for the first time since I had gone through my junior high blessings, I realized that, my life wasn't that bad. That there were people that really were challenged and had difficulties that I just made my life look easy. And it really opened my eyes. So I got a lot more involved after that. So by the time I got to 18, I become a regional officer for the Great Lakes region, which we are in. And I did that for a year, and I kind of been involved ever since then. I moved to Illinois, I think it was about, what? 93. And we got to Foxville Unity, which was a couple years later. And while I was there, I was a member of the choir. I was part of the men's group there. And I was also a unit team leader for about 10 years. Really loved that. You know, it's hard to believe when you see that on paper, isn't it? Like I said, I started attending here about fall of 2015. I helped out with the youth ed program. I also, oh yeah, I don't know why, but I liked helping out with the spring and fall cleanups, and of course the Christmas decorating and undecorating. And those are things I really enjoyed. And I've also taken several classes. In fact, I just took the spiritual economics class that Reverend E did, and I recommend it to anyone. It was good. I look forward to serving, and I'm excited to be with this board. It seems like there's a lot of great things going on. So that's my talk.
Mark, thank you so much. It's so wonderful to have someone who was a youth in unity themselves and has given so much of their time to supporting the young people in our church. And we're just really excited to have you as a nominee for this board. So if we move ahead now, we can go ahead and vote. I would like you to indicate, I move that we elect Mark Boston and Teddy Capanella to our board. Would someone like to second that motion? Thank you. And everyone now that is a member, only members can vote. Everyone that is a member that's in favor, raise your hand. Anyone opposed would raise your hand. Any abstaining? And so welcome to our board. This is easy this year for our election here to have two people running. We don't have to worry about privacy in our election. And then to have such two amazing candidates for us. So one other thing that we need to do is we need 2 volunteers for the nominating team next year. One person to serve on next year's committee, that it would be that person's responsibility to get someone else to assist them in basically identifying nominees who would like to run for the board. And then we also need one person to serve as an alternative if the volunteer cannot serve. Is there anyone on the call now that would be willing to, basically the job is to contact people and ask them if they would be willing to serve on our board, and then share with them the documents that they would need to complete in order to apply. Is there anyone that would be willing to assume that responsibility? I have a hand raised over here. I don't know who that is. Is that Carolyn?
I think that's Carolyn.
Is that Carolyn? Thank you, Carolyn. Is there anyone else that would want to do it? Okay, so Carolyn, you're to go next year as the chairman of our nominating committee. And would anyone be willing to be alternate if for some reason she was not able to serve? Anyone else that's on the call that would be willing to do that? Okay, we'll ask another time then at another, to see if we can get an alternate, if anyone else would be willing. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Carolyn.
Whoops. And now, sorry, Brenda, I muted you by mistake. There you go. And now Brenda.
You can't mute the president. All right. So first, I want to point out the picture that you're looking at is the hallway. And you may recognize these 2 bookcases as having been in the fellowship room. It was part of our refreshing and re-energizing our space, and we'll get into that in a little more detail in a second. If you would, Elizabeth, next slide. Thank you. So the updates that we did, we had been talking about painting and refreshing our space before COVID shut us down. And we, shortly after, long about the end of April, early May, realized that having the church closed for
Uh-oh. Okay. I don't know if it was Brenda or me. Hello?
remember that the fluorescent lights that were in the hallway and the fellowship hall, a lot of them had cracked coverings on them. Some of them were discolored. They've all been replaced and new. Fellowship hall, hallway, and nursery. We put new light fixtures in the foyer. If you remember the fixtures on the sanctuary end of the foyer that were set in wooden frames, all of the frames are there. We just put new fixtures in them. So they're all the same color now. Some of those were yellowed. Some of them had different colored bulbs in them. So they're all the same now. It's a nice bright space. We had to move the kitchen counter away from the windows to do the painting, and it literally fell apart when we moved it. As near as we could figure, it had been there for 30 years, sitting over a vent that had been drying the particle board for 30 years. Some of you may remember that the bottom was falling out of a couple of the drawers or the bottom of the cabinet. So needless to say, that had to be replaced. And when we got the kitchen counter out, we realized that it really opened up the room to have those windows accessible and open. So we decided to get 3 kitchen counter sections that are on wheels. Mark's applauding. Partially to freshen everything up, and because we obviously needed something for kitchen cabinets, but also so that we had some flexibility in where we put them, whether or not we put them together, how they might be arranged, and it actually gave us more storage space. So we have new fixtures that we'll show you in a second. Where are we? Oh, you may remember that one of the lower windows in the fellowship hall was white. It was almost like it was melt glass. And that was because the seal on the window had been broken just slightly. It was enough to let moisture in between the insulating panes of glass. And when that moisture dried in the summertime, it left a mineral deposit, just like you might see around your faucet. And over the years, it had clouded that glass. There was another window the same at the bottom in the nursery that was the same way. And they have both been replaced with fresh new clear glass that you can actually see through again. And then we cleaned out everything. The youth ministry did an incredible job of going through all of their cabinets and all of their storage in the hallway. And again, it was a blessing that we were not in the church, because they were able to pull things out from different places and lay them all out on the tables and inventory what they had, put things back together, and store them. So we actually got rid of a couple of the gray metal filing cabinets. If you remember the 5-drawer side-by-side gray metal cabinets that were in the hallway that once contained the sheet music, we donated the sheet music to, I believe North Shore took that, didn't they, Elizabeth? The cabinets, I don't know if they're still in the garage or if somebody finally took those. They're gone too. Okay.
One in the garage, one was given away.
Okay, I think there were more of the music cabinet drawers, but they found homes. And that's the point. So as I said, I think we looked at this, or maybe we didn't. I've been looking at this so often, I think it's repeating. This is how the foyer looks now. It's a lot of the furniture and the, you notice that the couch is gone. We'll show you where that went in a second. But right now it's clean open space. This is the fellowship hall, obviously taken from the youth ministry into the building. So you notice the bulletin board at the back of the hall that used to sit over on the right where the 3 white kitchen cabinets are now. I'm showing you with my cursor like you could see it. So sorry. So yeah, there's the cabinets. Thank you, Elizabeth. We moved the bulletin board over and got rid of one. On the left side where you see the little black thing in the corner, that's the water dispenser. And it's sitting in the corner where the kitchen cabinet had been. So the room is more open. It's more functional in the sense that we can move some of the cabinets around or eliminate them or put them wherever we want them for whatever we want them for. And you can tell this is a pretty recent picture because on the table now on the left are the Valentine's Day bags that we handed out yesterday. So this is from the front of the room looking back at the youth ministry area, and you'll notice almost everything is gone for the moment. The little couch that used to be in the foyer is on the right behind that partition where the big sectional was. We considered keeping the sectional, but it had several years on it. It had several years worth of, forgive me, but usage dirt and a few places where glitter had stuck and glue had stuck. And the back was faded white. If you remember how blue that couch was, it just needed, it needs something new. So we got rid of that couch. We got rid of the 2-piece sectional on the left side of the room on the hallway wall that slid every time somebody sat on it. That actually went to someone else. Someone took that home to a son who was furnishing a new apartment. You'll notice that a lot of the file cabinets are gone. Anita has agreed to a smaller bulletin board back here. And the idea is that once we're back a little closer to full time, the youth ministry will decide what they want in their space. And they'll have an opportunity to, you know, figure out what they want and come to the board, and we'll find a way to get them as much of what they need as we possibly can. And we're hoping that the congregation will help with some of the expense as well. This is a better view of the kitchen cabinets now. They're 3 independent units. They're all 3 on wheels. The wheels lock. So again, we can move them around. We actually got about the same counter space and more drawer and storage space underneath. So it's looking pretty spiffy now, and we'll make it more our own when we're all back and we all have a say with it. It just didn't feel right for the board and the few members who were comfortable coming out during COVID to be making decisions for the whole church in terms of what our spiritual home should ultimately look like. So we did some foundational work here, and again, once more of us are comfortable coming back, we'll make some decisions about what else we might want or need to put somewhere.
Brenda, I just wanted to express a thank you and gratitude to the anonymous donors who really just paid for painting, paid for the cabinets, paid for everything. All the repairs that were done was a donation from anonymous donors. I think that giving is amazing. So we're very grateful to them.
Thank you. All right. So the next topic on our agenda is the branding. Many of you probably got the email that explained what we were doing and why, but just to kind of summarize it, we have joined Unity Worldwide Ministries branding program, which means we become recognized as official members of Unity Worldwide. We accept, we are part of their presentation to the world, if you will. So we're now listed on their website as a Unity Worldwide church. We are listed as Unity Displays. And part of that is because Unity Worldwide strongly recommends that you indicate your location in your name so that people who are looking for something close to them know what they're looking at. We did look at keeping Unity Northwest in the branding. We would have been the third Unity Northwest on the Unity Worldwide directory. One of them was a church in the Pacific Northwest, and another was a regional office. So we really felt that their suggestion that we identify with Unity Worldwide as Unity Displays was going to be of benefit and make us stand out a little more. The branding program gives us access to professionally designed communications and marketing materials. Unity Worldwide has done a lot of work in demographic studies and design materials that are targeted to an audience that is likely interested in Unity teachings and Unity philosophies. So we still have to pay for our own printing, which we have always done, but we now have access to brochures and all kinds of marketing materials that are professionally designed with our targeted audience in mind. It also will give us access to potentially grants, one of which is the Templeton grant, which could possibly help pay for the rest of our sound system. And we'll get to that again in a second. But there are other grant opportunities that can come up as a member of Unity Worldwide's branding. So that's an advantage to us. There's no downside for us. There's no fees, there's no costs, there's no dues. They do not get to tell us what to do. They do not get to tell us anything about how we operate. The only thing that we're required to do as a member of the branding program is use the Unity Worldwide logo, which is, I believe, the next slide. Thank you. So this would become our logo. We are joining Fox Valley, North Shore. We are actually the 7th Unity Church in Illinois to join the branding program. 5 of them are in the Chicagoland area. I believe there's one in Springfield and there's one further downstate. So we're in very good company here, and it gives us a lot of advantages for minimal commitment. Next thing we want to touch on are the survey results. If you remember, last year we sent out a survey and asked people to tell us what their feelings were about coming back to church and guidelines and so on. So this is just a quick high-level recap. 68% responded with they would be highly likely to come back to church with guidelines. 30% were not likely, and 2% said they won't come back. A year has passed. We know a lot more about this now. Many of us are getting or have gotten our vaccinations. So we are seriously looking at what it would take to reopen in the short term. Like, we don't have a date set yet, but I would like to think that by the end of summer, early fall, we might be able to get back into the church with limited attendance, possibly, certainly some safeguards. We're constantly reviewing the information. What our main concern, or if it is, or our main, I don't want to call it an obstacle, it's a challenge. We need to be able to continue live streaming when we're back in church. And I want to recognize and thank Don. I'm sorry, Don, I'm going to mispronounce your last name, forgive me. Dangramond, who has done hours and hours and hours and hours of research for us.
You got it right. Thanks.
But thank you. We just can't thank Don enough for the work he did for us in researching sound systems and live streaming systems and camera options and vendors and who could give us service, who could help us with installation. He did months of work. So thank you, Don. We continue to refine Don's research, and we're hoping to have a decision made and a sound system on its way to installed in the next probably, what, Elizabeth, month or two?
Oh, I really don't know. That'll depend on who steps up.
Okay. Well, we need a tech team. We need to figure out who's going to run it. And that's a question that's kind of difficult. You know, it's the chicken and the egg. Before you can interest somebody in running the sound system, they need to know what the sound system is. And picking the sound system is going to depend on partially what we need to run it. So we're working through all of that.
If
Some
I
of the
may
same,
comment,
certainly.
I'm sure some of the board, and certainly Reverend Elizabeth, has learned by now that doing live stream is about enough when all you're doing is live stream. But to do live stream and the live service, this is going to be a new challenge.
Absolutely.
And one of the other churches in the Chicago area said they are going to have 3 people to do this every time. I don't think we need 3 people, but there certainly needs to be 1 or 2.
Right.
1.5, I'm going to say, because we can use an usher or somebody to do feedback for the primary person.
Right. So then those are the things that we're trying to work through. The other things about coming back to the church, safety precautions, obviously masks at all time. We have hand sanitizer dispensers. Thank you, Cindy. We will keep social distancing and at least initially keep the attendance small. You know, the first few services may only be 10 or 15 people. And depending on how that goes and how well everything, you know, how comfortable everyone is with that, then we'll increase that size as we can and still stay within safety parameters. Keep the doors open or the windows open, keep the circulation going. When the recorded music, probably pretty much like we're doing now with the live streaming. It's, you know, Tatiana and some recordings online. There's this recommendation is still no singing, but again, you know, these things change almost weekly. We're not going to start the fellowship or the children's programs back in the church initially. That will come along as soon as we can all get comfortable that we're doing what we need to do. And well, we're probably going to go to 1 service at 10 rather than 11, like we do on the Zoom sessions. That way we're an hour later for the early service and an hour earlier for the late service, and everyone's making the same accommodation one way or the other to when they attend. I think we probably lost a lot of the early people with the 11 o'clock only service. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure how many of them have been able to consistently attend. So this seemed like a decent compromise. And then, as I said, we need to be able to continue live streaming so that those who watch from home, which is certainly going to continue for the first months, and maybe permanently for some people, those who are, you know, have a hard time getting to the church, those who just don't feel safe getting out, those who have joined us from other places. I mean, we have regular attendance from a couple in Boston, if I'm not mistaken. So we want to be able to continue to reach out electronically. It's really the way of churches now. So these are some of the things that you can do to help us and the church in general. Stay connected. Obviously, we're preaching to the choir a little bit with this group, but encourage others to attend the services and, you know, come to the drive-bys and just do whatever you can to stay in touch with other members of the church and with the church itself. Continue to pray for our community. Join the Sunday service and the fellowship if you can on Zoom afterwards. Attend the classes, be in discussion groups, interact on Facebook and YouTube. Especially liking what you can on Facebook increases our visibility. It gets us out to more people, and it, you know, it's kind of a quiet way to help keep us visible. Read the weekly email and keep up with what's going on. Watch for drive-bys and other events, and just participate whenever you can to keep us, you know, keep us in touch with each other. We are above all else a community. And that requires that we make those connections to those people. So, and then for service work, like I said, volunteer whenever you can or however you can. We are going to have a church cleanup coming up probably in early May. When we reopen, we're going to need ushers. We're going to need sound people who will be given training. And there'll be more information coming along on some of the things that we need. Just watch the e-blast and watch the Facebook page and the website. So for 2021, the board declared this a year of abundance. And we're kind of building on what we saw in 2020. In spite of all of our challenges, Elizabeth got us into and acquired a grant for $5,000 for our sound system. Thank you, Elizabeth. She also got us into the Loaves and Fishes grant at Unity Worldwide. Remember, I said grant material was available, our grants were available. Elizabeth found this one for us and got us another $2,000. She's kind of a money machine. We've had some very generous anonymous donations. The end of the year, we were gifted with $20,000, which was just phenomenal. There was a $5,000 donation given early on as a matching fund for the sound system that has now just been rolled into the cost of the sound system. As Jeanette mentioned, the total cost of all of the work that we did, the painting, the light fixtures, the light covers, the kitchen cabinets, we had a wonderful painter who also did a little maintenance work for us. All of that was paid for by a donor. And we managed to get a payroll protection loan in 2020 that we are very hopeful, based on the feedback we're getting, will be forgiven instead of having to be paid back. In 2021, we have just recently learned we have the second payroll protection grant in an amount very, very close to the original, which pays about 3 months of payroll and utilities. So we're very grateful for that. Thank you, Dallas, for working through all that with us. He's our payroll protection guru. The forgiveness of the 2020 loan is in process, as I mentioned. And we are hopeful that the Templeton grant that I mentioned earlier from Unity Worldwide will open up approximately in April. And that is specifically a technology grant. So we're hoping that we can secure enough of the Templeton grant to pay off the balance. We're about $3,000 shy of the system and all of the what I'll call bells and whistles that we're looking at that would let us broadcast, live stream, be able to show videos from the internet like Elizabeth has been doing, and continue with the quality of service presentation that we've actually grown accustomed to over the last year or so. So those are the highlights, and we'll open it up for questions. Jeanette, you need to unmute yourself, hon.
I just wanted to comment that I'm sorry I interrupted you to thank our donors. I forgot about that slide at the end, but I guess it doesn't hurt to thank them more than once.
No, it does. It certainly doesn't. We've had some very, very generous people step up and support us, and we are as grateful as we can be. Questions?
I see that Anne has a question.
Yeah, I'm not able to get my video up, so sorry. It's just
Okay, I'm sorry. I should open chat. Go ahead, Anne.
I'm wondering about the 10 a.m. start time. I'm going to rearrange my life for you guys. If we do this, it would be much easier if it was 11, but I'm wondering how much pushback you might get from other parishioners when they find out it's no longer going to be 11 a.m. in the early fall or late summer.
Right, and that's something certainly that we need to consider and maybe even include on a future e-blast so we can get some feedback from people. But remember that if we stay at 11, we completely disregard the preferences of the people who used to come at 9.
Yeah, post-COVID, I'm expecting to get another library job and I will be working weekends. So that morning unity would have been easy probably for me to do church and then go to work. So I'm really sorry to hear about the time choices for church on Sundays now. It's really bumming me out.
Well, again, I'm sorry to hear that, but we have for the last year been 11 o'clock only. And there was a whole group of folks who used to come at 9 that, I don't know, Elizabeth, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't see many of them at 11. So
Do you think you can get the 9 a.m. people back at the new 10 a.m. time?
well, that's kind of what we're hoping by going
Okay.
to 10, is that it's, it's an adjustment for both time slots. And again, we'll put it out to the community and get some feedback from a whole lot of people, hopefully, before we nail anything down.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you, Ann.
sure.
Jeanette?
We plan to conduct another survey, so that definitely would be a question that we could include in the survey so that we have more information in making the final decision.
Yes. Yeah. We'll be reaching out. Does somebody else have their hand up? Chris, you need to unmute yourself. There you go.
Just did that. Thank you. I was just going to comment. That's why I think it'll be important for things to be recorded so that those who cannot make a service, I've really liked, if occasionally I will work or whatever, and I can always come back to the Facebook recording and it's there for people who are out of state. And it's a nice attraction for us.
Yeah, exactly. And that's certainly part of our consideration as we narrow down our choices on the sound system. So thank you, Chris. Jeanette, Dominic.
I had to unmute myself. Will we still be videoing the service, or will that be included with the new equipment that they're getting?
Yes, that's part of the consideration, is that we'll not only be live streaming, but recording. And so we can continue to upload it to YouTube and the Facebook page and the website. So yes.
I was one of the people that did the recording, and I was just wondering, if I'm losing that job, I'll take another job.
And we would welcome you with another job. Thank you, Jeanette.
Okay.
Yes, the intention is to have a sound system that will live stream and record all at the same time. That's the state of the equipment today.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. COVID has created, I don't want to say created, but certainly boosted the church video industry. We're finding all kinds of new vendors who sell prepackaged equipment to churches who want to live stream, or churches who want to video. It was really interesting to me to see how much that, I'm going to call it a cottage industry, has boomed in this past year, with all of us, all churches, looking to live stream and enhance the experience of their members who can't be actually in church. So we'll welcome you in any position that you want to give us your time, Jeanette. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Mark.
If we move the church to 10 o'clock, I'm sure you're aware of this, but the children's program every other week is at 10 o'clock in the morning. Is that going to be moved if we do that? Because it could be a challenge. So just throwing it out there. I think Carolyn would probably recognize this immediately on her end.
Yeah, and that's part of our consideration is the children's program, and you get the kids up an hour earlier, you get them to church an hour earlier. Everybody, there's a lot of dynamic in that. So it's an excellent question, Mark. I just don't have an exact answer for you yet.
Okay.
We'll work that out. You'll be part of that.
Okay.
All right, great.
Carolyn's got a question.
Yeah, Carolyn's question is, if it's considered safe for schools to reopen, will we reconsider the status of Sunday school? Yes, to answer you briefly. We've gone into this so far thinking that we had to, and remember that we started the safety protocol a year ago when we thought we were going to open up last summer. So there were a whole lot of considerations then that we don't necessarily need to be as concerned about now. Things like contact tracing and, controlling how many people are in a restroom at a time. I mean, we were down to that level. The safety committee really did a thorough job, but it was a year ago. We know more now. And you make a good point. If the kids are back in school, then maybe we should open the youth ministry to be back in church. We just need to understand what that looks like to bring the kids in and keep them safe as well. Because, well, many of us are able to get or trying to get vaccines. They haven't allowed the children to be vaccinated yet.
Right.
So, yeah, so it's, no doors are closed. We're going to need to get a couple more months down the road before we start nailing things down, and you will be hearing from us regularly. Carolyn, you and Anita will be active parts of those decisions. So we don't tend to dictate anything other than making sure we can keep everybody safe. So, and Cindy, I think you had a question?
No, I didn't have a question. I just wanted to thank everybody that's been participating in everything that's been going on the past year and contributing, and all of us being able to stay together as a unity family. It's been pretty fabulous. And I'd like to thank Reverend Elizabeth for going out of her way and really going that extra mile to learn all the technology and do everything for us so we can all stay together as a family.
Yes.
And for everything that everybody has done, I applaud everybody and thank everybody, because it is connecting with all of you that has gotten me through this past year. So I want to thank you all.
It certainly would have been a much more difficult road for all of us. So thank you, Elizabeth. I think Elizabeth gets her own round of applause. Thank you so much. All right. Any more questions? Sheila? You need to unmute. Can you find, there you go.
Along with Cindy and all my other board members in Unity, I am so excited. Why am I so excited? Because like Cindy said, and we've been doing this for a while here, over a year, and a whole lot of churches didn't make it. They didn't survive, but we survived it. And we're standing without a shadow of a doubt with God's grace and mercy, with the unlimited love that we've been displaying just on the faces that I see this morning. And when I tune in, just to see the love that each other share here at the Unity Church. I thank everybody. Reverend Elizabeth have been bringing some new energy to our ministry. I'm excited about that. Yeah. And just to have the new symbol that we have, our new branding that we have, that means a lot. Because when I started looking for a Unity Church, I'm thinking it's someplace in California where, until I looked at the address. So I'm excited for everything that Reverend Elizabeth and our team, our board members, each one of you, and I'm welcome the new board members, because it's exciting to have new people on the team. So I just want to say thank you for stepping up to the plate and saying that I'll be a part of the board. Okay. Yeah. So that's why I just want to say thank you. Attitude of gratitude.
Awesome. Thank you, Sheila.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments? Just unmute yourself and dive in. Going once.
I just have to say, I'm using my daughter's computer. I have to go because she has to get her homework done. It's a nice desktop. Now mine's is a laptop. So thank everybody and
Thank
thank you.
you.
I'm gone, okay?
There was a question from Carolyn that I didn't know if that got answered. She had her hand raised. She's on the phone.
Yes,
From
I think
Carolyn
it
did that get answered?
I think so.
I'm sorry, I unmuted to check on that and then my phone started ringing. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and then I
Carolyn-
left the room.
Carolyn's
sorry.
question was about if schools are safe to reopen, should we reconsider Sunday school? And we did
Okay.
answer the question.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. I just
Well,
wanted
that's
to be
okay.
sure she got answered.
No, no problem. We want to be sure everybody gets their questions in. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. Done.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. One more question.
Okay.
In the years past, there was a recycling event on the church grounds in June. I forget what it's called.
Circulation Day?
Circulation Day in June every year. Is that something you might bring back in 2022?
Well, actually, we might bring it back this fall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we gave it a lot of thought and consideration last year because, you know, everyone was home all the time. So everyone's cleaning out the closets and cleaning out the garage. And there was so much stuff donated. If you're familiar with Wings, they completely shut down. They would not take another donation.
Whoa.
They had nowhere to put them. And of course, their shop couldn't be open, so they couldn't get rid of anything either. But all of the donation centers were just overwhelmed because we're all sitting at home. Well, let's go through this closet now. I got nothing else to do. But yes, we're going to take a hard look at reestablishing that event in the fall rather than
Great.
June. I
Great,
think.
thanks.
I think that would be better timing. But yeah, we didn't forget it. We actually tried to do it and just couldn't figure out with what we knew at the time how to limit the amount of people that were there, how to keep people away from each other, what to do if somebody showed up without a mask. I mean, we even talked to the Des Plaines Police Department. And, we just didn't feel we could pull it off comfortably. You know, the board members and the volunteers who participate in those events are not in a position to deal with significant confrontation. And we all know that over the past year, that has been an issue. So it's on the agenda for probably late summer, early fall, September-ish, maybe October.
September, October. What's the theme for this year, 2020 theme? I saw that the beautiful logo. Abundance, I think it was.
Abundance, yes. It's our year of abundance.
So it might help to, you know, have people go through their abundance and get rid of some of their abundance.
Yeah, whatever's left of their abundance after they got rid of their abundance last year. I actually have a pile of stuff in my basement because by the time I was ready to take it somewhere, Wings had shut down, and that's my go-to spot. So it's all sitting in my basement waiting for Circulation Day.
Great. Thank you for that feedback.
You're welcome. Yes, Sal?
Does anyone know of a library that is accepting book donations?
I don't know firsthand. You might call the Friends of the Library at Mount Prospect or just the Mount Prospect Library. I know they were limiting people going in, but I don't know if the Friends of the Library had shut down donations. But I would just call the libraries and ask them. They'll be able to tell you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Al, be careful. I almost called on you.
All right, well, let's close in prayer, shall we?
Yes, please.
Wow, just a little bit over an hour. What timeliness. Thank you to the board for all your presentations, and thank you everyone. Hi, Darlene, I see you over there on the side.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone for coming to the meeting and caring enough about your church. Brenda?
I just wanted to say, Jean, did you have a question? No? Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
we're good.
right.
Oh,
Yes,
Anita?
nice to see Jean taking over there. Good to see you,
Okay.
dear. All right, everyone. Thank you for your time. Let's close in prayer. We now bring this sacred time to a close. We are grateful for the caring, for the intelligence, for the heart of this community. Thank you to the board and everyone that spoke, everyone that asked a question and cared enough to be here. Thank you for giving of your time. Thank you for being deep spiritual explorers. It's really the deep ones that stay for an annual meeting. So you can count yourself in that category today. And for those who are watching later, you can't know what it means to us on the board that you came and you listened and we had someone to present to. Our time here has been helpful, uplifting, joyful, and the good that comes out of this will be rolled together, pushed down, pressed together, and overflowing. Unity Displays welcomes 2021 as a year of abundance as we keep going, bringing forth the Christ and the goodness in all of us. And so it is. So we let it be. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you again for staying. I will now stop the recording.